Good evening and welcome to the Glens Common Council, Tuesday, July 14th, 2020 Common Council meeting. I'd like to ask Councilman Enderberry to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to start out tonight with a proclamation. Mr. Clark had brought this up and talked to Mike Bender, and this is a City of Glens Falls mayoral proclamation. Whereas Ken Tingley is retiring after more than 3 decades at the Post-Star, and we wish to honor him for his contribution to news and public discourse in our community. And whereas during the tenure at the Post-Star, Ken has exemplified community journalism as he, with dogged determination, led the newspaper toward excellence in serving the Glens Falls region. And whereas for those efforts, Ken has been honored by the Associated Press, the Newspaper Publishers Association, the Society of Newspaper Columnists, and numerous other journalist organizations, and his accolades are many. And whereas yet more important than that, Ken's Post-Star tenure has been an integral thread of the fabric of our area as we work tirelessly to inform, enlighten, and entertain, and his departure will surely leave a great void. And whereas Ken retires to move more leisure life with family time, Yankees games, Springsteen concerts, and is placed in the balcony of the Glens Falls Gym on the lookout for the next Jimmer or JG3 seeking a deep tray, we pause to honor him and wish him only the best. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Daniel Hall, Mayor of the City of Glens Falls, New York, in concert with the Glens Falls Common Council, do hereby declare Friday, June 17th, 2020 to be Ken Tingley Day in the City of Glens Falls, and I urge all residents to extend a heartfelt thanks to Ken for his 3 decades of service to our community. And with this whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Glens Falls to be affixed the 17th day of July, 2020. And I declare the 17th as Ken Tingley Day in the City of Glens Falls. So the next thing I would like to do is I'd like to invite Robin Barkenhagen to come on up. Robin, as you know, is the president of the Glens Falls Collaborative. With this coronavirus, a lot of different things have happened. A lot of events have been canceled, so Robin asked to be able to come tonight and speak to the Common Council about the collaborative and the efforts and what's going on.
Hi, thanks for having me. So Take a Bite is in particular, one of our key events. And we've been debating back and forth on what to do, and we were really ready to stick a fork in it last week. And my board rose objections, and they said they really want to find a way to do this. And so at our meeting on Monday, we really hashed out a lot of great ideas on how we could possibly put this on. Obviously, it starts with social distancing, and that the lines have to be X'd out, and in order to do that, we would need street closures. And personally, I think that to incorporate everybody from the restaurants at Ridge and Glen and the Queensberry, we would have to really do all 3. And I know that's never been done to close up Ridge and Glen and half a Maple for a couple hours, but this would allow the social distancing and allow everyone to participate. So what we're thinking is that if we could try this once and we can successfully do it, and we don't tie up traffic all the way back over the bridge, we might be able to continue. There's more to it, obviously, than that, and Christina from a pharmacy is going to draw up a plan. We were going to present that plan to Warren County Health, and if Warren County Health signs off on it, bring it back to you guys. But really, I came here tonight for some feedback from the mayor and from the council on what you think, if you think it's possible, and what you would see us doing in order to do it. And I guess one more thing is that if we would virtually eliminate the entertainment clause of it, because entertainment is obviously not accepted right now. If you're in a restaurant, you can have a solo act as long as people aren't coming to see that solo act. That I have to joke that we'll have to find the least entertaining person we can find, and so But that wouldn't be the focus. The focus is food, and food is still, you know, an essential. But again, this is a food festival, so whether that's deemed essential or not is really, again, up to the mayor and the council. So I'd love to hear your opinions.
So, that kind of throws a little curve at, because we also have to be very careful. We would have to go to Board of Public Safety. Gotta remember that, a lot of these streets are access to the hospital. So there's a lot of, public input that would have to go from our police department and also our fire department. We'd have to see a solid, plan on, traffic flow. We'd have to know the hours, we'd have to know the date, and, all that information that you can give to us so we can try to work it out. Again, you're right, we've never closed all that many streets, so we have to make sure we have access, and especially to the hospital. So, I'm not saying that we can't do it, I'm just saying that we'd have to have more of a solid, plan put in front of us.
Robin, are all restaurants participating on Ridge and Glen and?
I don't know about all. I know the most negative feedback I had came from your partner. And he was, it kind of was when I like, well, you know, Paul doesn't want to do it. Boy, that really disheartened me, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to do it. But I'm told from Christina that everyone else really wants to do it. She's getting calls from other restaurants. Radiki just signed up. We still have the sign up available on our website, and so actually just yesterday they just signed up to do it. I know if we could come up with the right plan that Paul would.
Yeah, and I don't think we're anti-doing it.
No,
It's
no, not at all.
I mean, we have problems getting a mask on people coming in.
Right.
So I can only imagine what it's gonna be like out there. Some people just don't want to wear a mask. They don't believe in what's going on. And I'm like, you gotta wear one. Like, it's not my rule. You know, we're trying to get it across to people that way, so.
Yeah, you know, I hear a lot, you know, it's not a political thing, and it shouldn't be a political thing. We're all doing this for each other. We wear the mask for each other. You know, I hear on sports talk radio, wear your mask so we can have sports. I hear from musician friends, wear your mask so we can have gigs. You know, it doesn't have to be a political thing. We're trying to help. We're all in this together. And I hoped at the beginning of this that we would have shown that a little more than what we have. But unfortunately, it has become the mask has become a political divide. And demanding someone to put a mask on has caused problems. I heard at one restaurant in Lake George where a guy opened his jacket and showed it the gun he had in his pouch. Obviously, he was asked to leave, and the police were called. But you know, he was just asked to put a mask on. You know, it seems a little ridiculous to me, but I understand that. And so, how will we handle people in the street not following the rules? That would have to be written into this plan, and we'd have to determine how we, not the police department, would handle this, because it's certainly not something we want to thrust on them.
So possibly having additional volunteers to help. Also, did you, who did you say was gonna develop the plan?
Christina from pharmacy.
So I would suggest that she not do that alone, that when I was on the Board of Public Safety, the best person to make the plan, and probably the most important person, is Chief Schrammel. And he was always willing to help me when there was an event that we were thinking of doing. And you might think of closure when you say those street closures. You might think partial closure. You might close them off in one direction, or close. I know that he would say we can approve this closure if there's a fire lane that's open. So there was no traffic on that road, but you weren't putting tables, let's say, in all of the road. You're only putting it in part of the road so that fire trucks could get through. So again, I would suggest once she has a rough idea of what she wanted to do, if you reach out to Chief Schrammel, you'd probably be a lot better off, because there's going to be things he considers that most people wouldn't know about.
Okay.
At least
That's a great point. We
That's
don't
a great
allow the
point.
streets to be totally closed, because we do have to have a fire lane, so.
Right. And it's something in the past we've done with collaborative events that Rich and I, back when Rich was president, were the guys that were on call. If we heard a siren, we knew to run to the barricade and ready to let them through.
Yep.
Never happened, but we were prepared for it.
Yep.
So Robin, what about the latest start date for something like this? I know that we've got a sign over at Cronin, originally scheduled for August 5th. So what is the latest start date that you think, assuming you get everything together, all the plans together?
And that's a good question. So right now, we have gone before public safety and we have a plan for Ridge Street being closed on the 19th. I think the 5th is unrealistic at this point. I think maybe the 19th would give us a month to plan, a month to implement this. And we already have one street closure already approved, but obviously that came before COVID.
Yeah,
So, if, you know, that could obviously be revoked and understandably why. So, again, that's part of why I'm here. What would you think? I mean, do you guys think the 19th would be a good target date?
Robin, are you encouraging people to buy food and take it to go, or to stay and congregate and eat the food?
I think we would need to have a plan with picnic tables, with, you know, they certainly, like in the old Take a Bite, you got your food, you found a place to lean against the wall, and you ate it quickly, and then you went on to the next place.
More of a sampling.
You can't have that. We're gonna have to have places where they can sit down, and then once they sit down, then they can remove their mask, and then they can eat, and then they put their mask back on and get back up and go to the next stand. And so, again, that would, you know, you'd be thinking picnic tables in the street. But that doesn't mean you can't have just picnic tables in half the street. And that's actually, I will talk to Christina, and probably later tonight, and say that if we thought about closing off half of all these streets, that might be it. That would leave traffic flowing through and then through, because you would want to close off this side of Ridge. Glen, it's up in the air. There's enough restaurants on either side, you know, and if we were able to do it more than once, maybe we could.
So what we should do, if you want to put the plan together, is to make sure that the traffic can continually move. So if you were going one way on Ridge, go the other way on Glen, and the same thing on Maple.
Right, so it would probably,
I would suggest put that in your plan.
okay.
I love Take a Bite, it's such a fun event. I'm just trying to think though, because like you said, the nature of the event is that you sample, you sit down, and you go to the next place. So with the constant changing of people at tables, you have to have someone sanitizing the table in between people, or something like they would do at a restaurant. So I'd be really interested to see public health's input on it.
And, you know, as Bill said, you know, as many volunteers as possible. And I think we would be able to do that because people are itching for some normalcy, and this would give them something to say, hey, there's something normal going on, we want to do it. I heard that you visited the food truck corral. How did you feel?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Has anyone been down to there and seen how he's done that?
At the
At the
t-shirt
shirt
factory?
at the
Yeah.
shirt factory, yeah.
But that's on private property, so obviously it's a different thing. But he's told me, you know, because he's on the board, and he said that the things that they had done, again, you know, no little or no entertainment, it's just about the food. I don't know how he was doing. He has the picnic tables out, but I don't know if he was wiping them down or not. But that would have to be a must. You'd have to, as people got up, and a picnic table, you don't want to sit down with strangers. You want, you know, you're sitting down with your group, and then taking your mask up, eating, getting back up, and then someone's there to spray it down, and then let the next group sit down. That's working together. There's a lot involved, and we understand that, and that's why really last week I had written the board saying, you know, with a heavy heart, I think we need to give up on this, and the feedback was overwhelming from the board. Let's try to find a way. And
Well,
so
I
that's
think
what
we're willing to listen. Again, I think Diane's point of, you know, public health is gonna weigh in, and you gotta really have a set plan. And Councilman Collins, when we talked about Chief Sherman, he's the one that represents the city on that board of public health up there. So, put a plan together, come back to us, you know, bring it to me, you know, after it's been written, and I'll make sure maybe for the next common council meeting, we can either tell you yes or no. Okay?
All right, great, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks for your efforts.
So, is there any phone calls, Amy?
No, sir.
Okay,
Still in there?
go in there. So now we'll go to committee reports. Mr. Enderberg,
I have none.
Mr. Collins.
The Sustainability Committee has been busy meeting and was awarded a Smart Cities Technology Grant from New York State Empire Development. I'm gonna misstate it.
Very good.
State Empire,
Empire State Development.
there we go, thank you. So we received a grant to explore a pilot for urban farming project to grow vegetables in a stacked closed environment with LED lights and environmental air control and temperature control. And so that is great news for us. And we'll probably soon have more details on the location. And right now, there's a couple meetings where Empire State Development is inviting technology companies now to consider our project to see if they would like to partner. So the way that this process works is that we came up with an idea. We partnered with a tech, with an educational firm called Tech Garden out of Syracuse. They helped us develop the idea. We presented it. It was approved. And now Empire State Development goes and tries to find a technology company that would like to work
It's like Shark
in
Tank.
the process. Yes, it's a lot like Shark Tank in that way. So it's a fantastic idea, and we're through the first step. So it looks like it was just announced. PSA went out. Glens Falls was one of like 8 communities that received grants across the state.
Bill, are you guys looking to rent a building or buy a building, or how does that work?
Well, we, for the city's match, we're hoping to find a building that we can use with no cost so that we can say that that's part of the city's match. We've asked Jim Siplon to look at the Just Water building. We're in the process of talking to Ed about possibly the old, a room in the old incubator building, but we don't have a site other than that. But yeah, just a building in downtown Glens Falls with a fairly small room, like 15 by 30 tops.
300 square feet.
300 square feet, thank you. 15 by 15 then it would be, right? So,
Needs access to water and electricity, obviously.
kind of build a building. So that is the only report I have.
Okay, great. Ms. Reed?
I have none.
Mr. Campanella?
I have none.
Mr. Clark?
I have none.
And Ms. Conlon?
The tech committee had been working on getting online payments up and available, and now that's an option. So I really want to thank Suzanne, our controller, for all of her work on that. But people can find information on our website about that. And Building and Codes is still working on our vacant registration. We have a smaller working group who is preparing to report back to us with their work, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, is there any, let's see, under voice vote, resolution to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2020 meeting of Glens Falls County Council. And number 2 is a resolution approving the June 2020 report of City Park Parking Violations Bureau.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under roll call vote, I am going to pull number 6, as that is a secret review that we will go through. Ms. Reed will lead us in that afterwards. So we'll start out with number 3, is a resolution. Is there anything else that you would like to pull for discussion? Okay. Number 3 is a resolution authorizing Mayor Hall to enter into a lease agreement with 911 Leasing Company for the lease purchase of the 2020 Ford Interceptor SUV and 2020 Ford Fusion with a combined cost of $70,862 to be paid in annual payments of $19,837.49. 4 is resolution authorizing the controller to increase general fund expense line A009999-2630 restitution by $416.76 and increase general fund expense line A23126-4479A seized assets state GFPD by $416.76. Number 5 is a resolution authorizing controller to decrease general fund fund balance by $122,800 increase general fund expense line A 11355, 1,000, assessor personal services by 75,500, and increase general fund expense line A 11355-4479, assessor other contracted services by 48,000. Number 7 is a resolution approving a grant award for case file 2018-009 in connection with the City of Glens Falls Home Ownership Program, subject to home buyer acceptance of the final mortgage commitment issued primary lender and acceptable to the City of Glens Falls. Number 8 is a resolution awarding a bid to CFGF 2005-2020 mowing of dams and landfill of the Garden Barn LLC at total cost of $25,000. 9 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit as approved by Mayor Hall on July 8, 2020, subject to the review of the Common Council for Sharon Hall, President of Hallware, for placement of a clothing rack and a sandwich board in front of the business at 161 Maple Street from current date through May 31st, 2021. 10 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit as approved by Mayor Hall on June 30th, 2020, subject to Common Council review for Mike Kanoski, Northway Communications, 56 South Street, Glens Falls, for placement of a roll-up container and 2 parking spaces in front of the business with containers pulled back each evening from July to September 1st, 2020. 11 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit to allow National Grid to excavate on Leonard Street for needed repairs ahead of the City of Glens Falls planned paving schedule, subject to the stipulations listed on the attached. 12 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit to allow National Grid to excavate on Crandall and Colbert Streets for needed repairs ahead of the City of Glens Falls planned paving schedule, subject to the stipulations listed on the attached. 13 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for Shelley Cameron and Associates, 11 South Street, Suite 104, Glens Falls, replacement of a sandwich board reading agent on duty Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in front of 11 South Street from current date through 5/31/21. 14 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit as approved by Mayor Hall on July 6, 2020 per City Code 189-19B, subject to Common Council review for Apex Roofing to block off the Glen Street entrance to the Elm Street parking lot on July 20th and July 27th through July 31st, 2020 to allow placement of dumpster and lifting equipment in the alleyway for roof reconstruction at 220 Glen Street. 15 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit renewal for Spot Coffee, 221 Glen Street, for a dumpster in which to place cardboard in the same place in the manner as done in previous years to run through 5/31/21. 16 is a resolution approving an outside dining permit for Spot Coffee, 221 Glen Street, for placement of chairs and tables in front of its business with adherence to the governor's rules on social distancing, wearing masks and cleaning disinfecting protocol through 5/31/21. 17 is a resolution approving the warrant. We also have an addendum. I think you all should have a copy of it. It's a resolution which would be number 18, and that is to award the City of Glens Falls bid 20-06-2020 for street resurfacing to Peckham Road Corporation in a bid amount of $325,984.60.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Ringaby?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay. All right, motions are approved.
We need to go back and do number 6.
Yes, we're gonna go back and do number 6. So we're not gonna do number 6 until we do the secret.
Right, number 6 is the C. Right,
Yeah, so,
okay.
so we have to read that and then we will go back and do that resolution.
right. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
So you all should have a copy of the seeker, and this is in regards to the South Street project. And I've asked Ms. Reed to go ahead and read that, and it's the part 2 of the full environmental assessment form.
The proposed multi-purpose market center building, repurpose 2 existing buildings for mixed use, potential sale of city-owned parcel for new mixed use building, and a public parking garage needs seeker review. Seeker Part 1 was previously approved by the Common Council on May 26th of this year, at resolution number 152. This commenced the seeker process. Tonight, we will review the seeker full environmental assessment form, FEAF, Part 2, which is identification of potential project impacts, and seeker FEAF Part 3, which is the evaluation of the magnitude and importance of the project impacts and a determination of significance. After we have done that, it is our hope that we will find ourselves in a position to issue a negative declaration and a declaration of the city being willing to be the lead agency, and that is what number 6 will bring forward, come before the council. So I don't know if you all have a copy of it, but we're going to flip to part 2 of
Jane,
the.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When this came up before with seeker reviews, when once before, and I had this question. So when we're saying that it's no or small impact may occur, we're talking from the current condition, right? Not that, so it is going to be a big impact, let's say, on a particular building that we rehab it and make it much nicer. But we're not talking about that impact. We're talking about the environmental
Impact.
from the way it is now, right, to
Whether the effect that we are going to take on it is going to have a negative environmental
There we go.
impact.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
So the first question in part 2 is the impact on land. And you will see that there are A through H questions that basically identify what the potential concerns are. And I'm very willing to go through them all, but if you will let me go through them all. The proposed action may involve construction of land where depth of the water table is less than 3 feet. That is not true. The proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater. That is not true. The proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed or generally within 5 feet of existing ground surface. That is also not true. The proposed action may involve the excavation and removal of more than 1,000 tons of natural material. That is not true. The proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases. That is indeed true. So that we will then evaluate whether or not that particular impact that we have identified has a negative impact on the project. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. But we'll go through and make the other determinations first and then evaluate the ones that we found that we have to balance, okay? So the proposed action will result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal. That is not true. The proposed action is or may be located within a coastal erosion hazard area. Not true. And we could not find any other impacts to list. Under part 2, impact on geological features. Are there specific landforms identified? No. Is the proposed action going to be adjacent to a natural landmark? No. Are there other impacts? No. So under number 2, it's very clear from our point of view that no is the answer. Number 3, impacts on surface water. Once again, an entire list of surface water, but surface water is not an issue in downtown Glens Falls. So unless you want me to read A through K, I will tell you that the impact that we are finding on bottom sediments and whatever, where they're referencing rivers and ponds, is not applicable in this case. So unless there's questions, I'm moving on to number 4, which is impact on groundwater. Once again, there are not wells on the property. There are not working wells on the property. There is in fact a well in the basement of the old incubator building, but it has been cordoned off, and we are forbidden from allowing anyone to access that well or use it in any way. Therefore, we are answering this as if that particular situation has already been addressed. There's no bulk storage of petroleum, there's no construction supply wells, there's no wastewater being discharged, there's no, the water supply line is not being affected, and there's no new wells. So number 4, the determination is no. Number 5, impact on flooding. Once again, not in the 100-year floodplain, not in the 500-year floodplain, any more than, you know, your house and my house is, because that floodplain is at, you know, is now, within so many feet of a river. But this in particular, in the definition of the 100-year floodplain, we skip it. We are out of it. So that's great. It isn't going to affect any of the existing drainage patterns, and it's not going to contribute to flooding. So number 5, the impact on flooding is no. Number 6, impacts on air. Once again, this is not intended that anything is going to be imputed into the air. It is not intended that this project will have any effect on air or, you know, generate 10 tons per year of anything. Therefore, the impacts on air are negligible, and we determined no. Impact on plants and animals is number 7. There are no plants. It was a parking lot. There are no animals that are supposed to be there. Therefore, we determined no on plants and animals. And number 8 is impact on agricultural resources. And once again, it is in our downtown city area, and therefore is not having any impact on any negative impact on our agricultural resources. The intended use in the end should be a benefit, but that is not the question they're asking. Number 9, impact on aesthetic resources. We have determined that there is no negative effect on the aesthetic resources of downtown Glens Falls in this project, and it does not affect the scenic views. It does not affect any aesthetic, you know, designated historical landmark. It does not affect the sight lines. It doesn't affect anything in a negative way. Impact on historical and archaeological resources. This one we came up with a yes for this because of A. The proposed action may occur wholly or partially within a substantially contiguous to or any buildings, archaeological site, or district which is listed on the Historical State Register of Historic Places. And it is indeed within our cordoned off historic, you know, designated historic district. Therefore, we did say that it had an effect, but it had, we got a choice between no or small impact may occur, moderate to large impact may occur, and we believe no or small impact may occur is the appropriate answer to that. Other than that, it is not near a state historic preservation. SHPO is, you know, has not identified any building in this particular area, and there's no archaeological function of SHPOs that has already been designated in this area, so those are no's. And E is eliminated because we didn't find a moderate or large impact. Impact on open space and recreation. This was not a green space. This was not a recreation space. Once again, this was a few buildings and a parking lot, and therefore the proposed action is not going to incur a loss of any current recreational resource. We determined no. And impact on critical environmental areas. We once again determined that this area is not a critical area to our local environment in any way, and therefore that no was the appropriate answer to number 12. Number 13, impact on transportation. There is going to be an impact on transportation, although small, because the current bus routes and traffic patterns and whatever will be affected during parts of this project. But we determined that that is a very small impact and also for, you know, not a permanent impact. And therefore, that was the determination was yes, but small impact, only a small impact may occur. Impact on energy. This is not we are not hitting any, you know, any water wheels. We are not hitting any electric plants. We are not doing having any effect on anything that currently provides energy. So therefore, we determined no. And impact on noise, odor, and light, we also felt that our project had very little impact on noise outside of regular construction sound. And is not going to add to odor or light issues. And impact on human health, we did feel that it's this, we have to answer yes to A, which was that it's within 1,500 feet of a school, hospital, licensed daycare center, group home, nursing home, or retirement community. It is within 1,500 feet certainly of a licensed daycare center, and it is within 1,500 feet of some of the hospital's facilities. But we did feel that our particular project was going to have very small impact on those as well. And the rest of these, this long list, it's not going to unearth any hazardous waste, it's not going to involve hot solid waste, it's not going to have any of those known impacts. So we, that was the only category that we felt we had to give a yes to. And then 17, consistency with community plans. This is not in sharp contrast, although we hope it will be in better, but it is not in sharp contrast to the quality and the content of the areas around it. It is not going to be putting a glass pyramid in the middle of South Street. It is going to be a project that is determined is going to be fitting to the area, and therefore that it is not going to be abusive to community plans. And is it going to be consistent with community character? We felt that the only thing we had to tick off here was B, which this is possible that more policing and fire presence might be required because of the development of this project, just because it will concentrate more people in an area where people are not concentrated at this time. So that is our proposed answers and our review of part 2. Part 3 then takes us to a determination as to whether or not that should keep us from going forward. And we felt that the impacts that we identified were small and insignificant, and it will not result in any significant adverse impact in any way on the area or the downtown historic district. And therefore, it would be our recommendation that if you should decide to take on lead agency in this matter, you would be safe in saying that we had considered the impacts and that the impacts were found to be minimal and so to such a level that you could issue a negative declaration in terms of the effect on the environment of this project. That being said, the mayor can now move on to number 6.
Okay. So, number 6 is a resolution finding that this project, a new multi-purpose market center community building, repurpose 2 existing buildings for mixed-use potential sale of city-owned parcel for new mixed-use building and a public parking garage, all within the designated South Street DRI area, will not have any significant adverse impact on the environment in accordance with the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, Article 8 of the New York Environmental Conservation Law, and in particular pursuant to the criteria set forth at 6 NYCRR 617.7B-C of the secret regulations, and as such, no environmental impact statement shall be prepared. Therefore, the council shall issue this negative declaration pursuant to SECRA, and this resolution and notice of negative declaration shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Campanell?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Enderbury?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Old business, Mr. Enderbury.
I have none.
Mr. Collins.
I have none.
Mr. Reed.
I have none.
Mr. Campbell.
I have none.
Mr. Clark.
My colleague from the Fifth Ward, Supervisor Mr. Driscoll, asked me to mention at the council meeting that the city's been doing a great job with our US Census, but we still need more people to participate in filling out the questionnaire that they receive either in the mail or at their doorstep. So if you still have it, we'd love for you to fill it out and everyone be counted, because that helps us out with so many different things, from aid to schools to aid to our city and community development aid and things like that. Impacts our first-time homebuyers program and things. So it's critical that people in the city of Glens Falls and in Warren County fill out their census. So that was just a reminder, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Palmer?
On our website, we have this feature that says report a concern, and people can report anything that they feel they want to notify the city about. And we had some feedback that there was not a category for everything, and so people weren't sure where to put their concerns. So we added a category that says other. So if anybody has something, they weren't sure where to put it, there you go. But it's just another way for us to be able to communicate back and forth with constituents.
Okay. Thank you.
Everything.
New business.
I just want to say the Elm Street drainage project's coming along, slowly but surely for me, but, you know, it's at our back door, but it's gonna be really nice. They have the granite curbs in, the water areas are set, and the area for the trees is all set. And I think, according to Dan Johnson, who's running the project, they're gonna pave this week and probably do the sidewalks this week. And hopefully by sometime next week, they'll have the plants in set place in the little areas that they have all set up. And it's gonna be nice.
Excellent.
Pain, but it's gonna be,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I got a follow-up to that, because I was at the water and sewer meeting and asked our city engineer, Steve Gersler, what about the rooftop drainage?
Yep.
So he said he's got a couple of buildings that owners that they're gonna try to comply with that, but he's trying to get, you know, other buildings to comply, so we get that rooftop drainage
Yeah.
taken care of, so
I
it's
know
just not
there's-
running into the road.
I know there's 3 buildings. I think it's social building, the JMZ building there is tied in.
Yep.
We tied in, it's our backup drain,
Yep.
which when it really storms comes out of the backup drain, and it's really, it goes into our neighbor's area, so it's nice that we're tied in. And I think the guy next door to us tied in a little late, but Dan tied him in. So there's 3 big buildings right there that are involved in that, so it's
That's
nice.
good.
It's huge.
Yeah,
That's good. Okay.
that's it.
Mr. Collins?
I have none.
Mr. Reed?
And then,
Mr. Campanella?
I have none.
Mr. Clark?
It probably should have gone under old business, but I just am thrilled to see that we're paving streets in the city of Glens Falls, continuing that process. I know the mayor and the council has put a high priority on continuing to improve our infrastructure, and I applaud everyone for that, because it means a lot to people in the city. So thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Ms. Farmer?
I have none.
So, okay, then it's to me. So I want to talk a little bit about Hadlin's Cove, because at the last meeting, we talked about how we were opening it up, and we have opened it up. We've limited it to 28 cars. We have a staff down there that is able to take everybody that's coming in, their name, ask them questions about the coronavirus, and we've limited to citizens of Warren County. We do have a pretty good staff. We've hired a security guard, got a couple of good-sized boys manning the gate, and we haven't had any problems.
And we have Miss Mary too, so.
And we have Miss Mary, yes. So, so it's been working well. So I'm really happy to see that we can at least let, some of the kids go swimming in. We can, let our people go down there. So that's a good thing. Here in City Hall, if you've been here during the day, we're open full-time now from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30, and we still are taking the precautions where you have to check in at the desk and you have to answer some questions. You have to have a mask on, and we also have hired the crossing guards that are not working in the summertime. And so we came up with the idea of giving them some jobs. So we got like 3 or 4 crossing guards that are manning the table for us. So we were initially using our staff from different departments, and that we decided if we could find another option, because that was taken away from them doing their jobs. So we were able to do that. So that's worked out pretty well. We've distributed over 5,000 masks to different businesses in the city, different not-for-profit agencies and so on. Chief Sharem's been in charge talking with the county health department, and he was able to secure a bunch of masks for us. And again, Chief Sharem has been our point man talking with the county, and it's worked well. I just wanted to tell you also that Ed Bartholomew is going to be, he's under the weather a little bit, so he won't be in the office. If you have anything to go to that office through for community development or anything, bring it to me, and then I'll make sure that it gets taken care of. So that's about all I have, unless anybody else has anything else they'd like to discuss. Okay, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.